Are you ready to be slapped in the face with some nostalgia? Here you go. Old Epcot was something unique. There's nothing like it, and there will never be anything like it ever again. It was a lot of fun. I don't hate New Epcot, but there was just something special, something, I guess, as I mentioned, nostalgic about it. And there are some ways that Old Epcot is far, far better than New Epcot, far superior. One of those ways, my friends, was the Fountain of Nations. The Fountain of Nations opened alongside Epcot Center in 1982, and it contained water from, let me just check this, double check this here, 29 countries and 25 different bodies of water. Originally, back then called the Communicore Fountain, the ceremony was meant to echo sort of what happened over at Disneyland with the original dedication of It's a Small World, where different children of the world would pour water from their respective countries into the attraction, making the water of the ride, all of the waters of the world, come together in peace and unity. This was very much the same idea. Of course, though, over the years, because of how water works, and sanitation and all that, the water had been cycled out many, many times in order to keep up with the fountain's maintenance, and by the time it closed in 2019, none of the original water remained. However, Imagineer Zach Ridley, the lead creative behind New Epcot, what we now know as current Epcot, saved a jar of water from the Fountain of Nations to be used in a new water feature coming soon to Epcot, when New Epcot would debut at some unspecified year in the future. Remember that jar. Keep that jar in your thoughts, okay? That's a very important jar. Flash forward to now. What we know as World Celebration. I quite like World Celebration. The new Epcot entrance fountain is wonderful. Moana, The Journey of Water is an absolute delight. It's one of the best walkthrough attractions I've ever seen at a Disney park. These orange sort of rusty tree things, they're great, okay? I know it's not what was promised to us back in the pre-COVID time by Bob Chapek with that amazing looking festival center, but I think what we got turned out pretty good. Even Communicore Hall is getting better and better as the festivals go by. I really kind of love every corner of World Celebration. That is, except for this planter right here. This planter is sort of the bane of my existence when it comes to Epcot. If I could change one thing about Epcot, it would be this planter, because it stands in sort of roughly the same spot where the Fountain of Nations ended back in the day, back when the Fountain of Nations ran. But it is not a fountain, it is a planter. Keeping Imagineer Zach Ridley on the top of our minds, during the transformation of Epcot's future world into World Celebration and Discovery and Nature, the guy gave a lot of Imagineering insights on his Instagram while the transformation was underway. Various details that he noticed around Epcot and various details they were trying to implement in this new World Celebration. But the specific detail I want to talk about for this video are the old Epcot light-up pavement stones. You remember those old, like, weird New Age symbols that would glow as you walked out of the park at the end of the night? I absolutely loved these fiber optics in the ground that would give off an unearthly glow with symbols you couldn't quite pin down, morphing and changing before your eyes. It was really just that extra touch of magic. It really brought the atmosphere of Future World up to that next level. It was an absolute delight to stumble across one of these at the end of the evening. During the construction of World Celebration, after the pivot from the old Festival Center plan into the new sort of Communicore Hall plan, Zach posted on Instagram that he knows that guests love the fiber optics embedded in the pavement, and that World Celebration would be paying homage to Epcot's past while incorporating updated technology and controllability to deliver some fun new lighting capabilities. Okay, it's a lot of big words, but essentially, there would be a new version of the in-ground fiber optics that weren't exactly fiber optics that would glow with the show, for lack of a better term. And when World Celebration opened, the new lighting effects were in full swing. The brand new planter was surrounded by in-ground lights that did glow with the show, and when the park first opened, when the expansion I should say first opened, it looked pretty good. I think it worked really, really well. The problem is that time, my friends, is a cruel mistress, and Bob Iger, it seems, is a cruel mister. Or Josh D'Amaro. I don't know, or both at this point. I don't know. I genuinely don't know who's responsible for this, but this, my friends, is what I'm talking about. This is a massive problem. Now this video I just showed you is early on in World Celebration's life cycle. This was maybe about a month or two after it opened, and this still is not the effect working at its full potential. It's still a little damaged here. Over time though, it seemed that these lights had stopped working. Very quickly, a lot of the light strips had gone out, or they were flashing the wrong color, and it wasn't really a convincing effect as it was when the park first opened up World Celebration. It was kind of disappointing looking back at it. And they were stuck this way, inoperable, unworking, for about a year, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, until Disney decided to finally fix the in-ground lighting. Hooray, the saga is over, we're saved, it looks amazing, it's all fixed and back to normal. No, my friends, no it's not, because the lighting strips started to peel up. They started to come out of the ground. This is the most recent development that we have on this World Celebration planter in-ground lighting. It is coming up out of the ground, and to protect guests from tripping over it, Disney in the previous weeks have set up stanchions to prevent the people from tripping and falling. The stanchions are a temporary fix, and they do not, my friends, they do not look good. Okay, so we can't have the stanchions, but we can't have guests tripping over the lighting strips coming out of the ground. How about instead we just screw them in? We just get some bolts and get a drill and screw them into the ground. That is Disney's idea of a fix for this. This is not a fix, Disney. This is really, really bad show. So these images are all from Blog Mickey. Go follow them on Blue Sky and X, and even subscribe to them on YouTube because they are one of the best Walt Disney World news aggregators, way better than WDW News Today. Go follow Blog Mickey, they are amazing. And they show what a state of disrepair these lights are in currently. It looks bad, dismal. But don't worry, my friends, according to this video posted on Twitter, the screws aren't working either. So it's just kind of a useless fix. Cool. But hey, at least they painted over the silver screws, gave it the landlord special, painted up white, now they blend in. What's going on? Genuinely, what's going on here? What do we need to do? I opened this video talking about the Fountain of Nations. That fountain, in my opinion, was a perfect water feature. There was a sort of mini world of color that would happen every now and then, synchronized to music. Lights and jets of water would go up into the sky. It was beautiful. And now we have a planter and a broken light around the base of that planter. This is a serious downgrade, and this is a problem that needs to be fixed. As I said, I'm a fan of everything around the planter. I love the rusted orange trees. I love the actual trees. The plant life is a really big upgrade. I prefer connections to the electric umbrella. I know that's gonna give me a lot of flack. I do miss the second story. The second floor was fun, but I do prefer connections. Creations, I could take it or leave it, but Club, cool. The main attraction, besides living with the land at Epcot, the one thing I have to do every time I'm there, the best part of World Celebration, absolutely wonderful. Lovely place. This is bad. This is really bad and needs to be fixed somehow. Whether that's taking out the planter and putting in a new Fountain of Nations. Sure, a smaller Fountain of Nations, but a Fountain of Nations nonetheless. Converting the current planter into a water feature, but those two options I think are a little bit too far-fetched. Just at bare minimum, fixing the in-ground lighting. At bare minimum. They should, in my opinion, replace the system entirely. Tear up that whole little lighting section and do something else. Do something with the fiber optics, because the old fiber optics at Epcot Center, those lasted a very, very long time. They didn't pop out of the ground. Do something like that. It'll also look, in my opinion, a little cooler. Look, I understand what they were going for with this new Epcot lighting package. The glow with the show was really impressive. I don't believe it does that anymore, but we're only 2 years out from the opening of this World Celebration area, and it's sort of in disrepair right in the middle. Heck, they even updated the ending of Soarin' to reflect the new World Celebration neighborhood, and in the video in Soarin', the lights work. The lights don't work in real life, and they're being screwed in. So, I mean, there's a little bit of a difference there. Soarin' is obviously Disney's idealized version of World Celebration, but World Celebration right outside does not match that idea. And the screws in the ground are just sort of the last straw for me. I needed to make a video talking about this because this is just lazy. This just reeks of laziness to me. And what sucks is I know Disney can do so much better. And yes, before you come into the comments, modern Disney can do so much better. They just don't. here in this case, and they need to. I've got on record before saying that World Celebration needs a new water feature. The fountain at the front of Epcot is absolutely lovely. It's not a new fountain though, they just brought it back from opening day. They had originally torn it out. Something in World Celebration, some kinetic energy, I think would help. And you know how much of a proponent I am of kinetic energy on this channel. Let's be honest, that's like the number 2 thing I talk about behind the Disneyland People Mover, which by the way, bring back the... Not right now. It's not important. It's not pertinent to the conversation. And now let us circle back to that container of water that was saved from the Fountain of Nations to be used in a current, or I guess at the time, future Epcot water feature. What happened to it? I mean, I keep bringing up the new Epcot entrance fountain, but it was never mentioned anywhere that the old Fountain of Nations water was mixed into it, and obviously it would be gone if they did use it with the entrance fountain. Another possibility might be Moana: The Journey of Water, although I don't know if you'd want to be sticking your hands in that water. I mean, there are a lot of signs in the attraction itself saying, hey, don't drink this water, it's gonna hurt you. But, you know, you can never stop people. Some people just want to drink that water. Where is the Fountain of Nations vase, or vase, and what did you do with the water? Hopefully the making of this video puts some more eyes onto the Fountain of Nations water that was saved. It's not really an important issue. I'm just genuinely curious what happened to it. If no person in their right mind would care what happened to that water, then call me crazy. I mean, heck, you could even tell me that it was used to water the plants in the planter that replaced the Fountain of Nations. I'd be kind of upset about that, but I mean, it would be an answer that I would accept. While I think World Celebration is pretty good, I'd say 90% of it is really well done. As I mentioned earlier, Communicore Hall is just getting better and better as the days go on. That 10% that isn't good is really, really bad. And it kind of takes away from the rest of World Celebration if you're walking around that empty planter with the ropes around it, sometimes trying not to trip over the screws in the ground. You can have kind of a bad time, and I think Disney needs to take this video into account. Maybe even if we let them know in the parks that, you know, maybe this isn't what we want to be seeing, maybe they'll end up fixing it. Perhaps not ripping up the light strips like I would hope that they would do and replace them with the fiber optics, because the fiber optics really gave that otherworldly vibe, but maybe something. Maybe we get some sort of improvement there with the planter, and maybe someday they'll tear out all that dirt, they'll tear out all the plants from the planter, keep the concrete structure, that's fine, but throw a fountain in there. Make it synchronized with the nighttime show. Let the lights of Spaceship Earth be reflected in its waters, and then, my friends, at last we will have another fountain at Epcot where the old Fountain of Nations used to stand. Because at the very beginning of this video, I was a bit nostalgic. I showed you some old footage of Epcot, and I think the front end of the park, the middle of World Celebration, now as we know it, Future World back then, was better. I like Communicore Hall and Creations and Connections, and especially Club Cool. Don't get me wrong, I love Club Cool, but just that middle part right there, that's what this whole video is about, is just that middle part. It's falling into disrepair. Bad things are happening over there, and it needs to be fixed. But what about you, my friend? I'm going to turn the question over to you now. How do you feel about World Celebration Gardens? Specifically, the middle of World Celebration where the planter is. Do you think that it could have been done better? Do you miss the Fountain of Nations? Do you think the lights are ever going to work properly and not pop out of the ground ever again? I'd love to hear what you think specifically on this part of World Celebration, disregarding Communicore Hall and Creations, Connections, that sort of thing. Just this part right here. What are your thoughts on this area? My stance of being an Epcot fan is sort of a weird one. I love Epcot. I love Epcot how it was, and I love Epcot how it is, and I guess in the future, how it will be. I think it's the best park at Walt Disney World, the second best park behind only Disneyland in the world that I've been to so far. It's so incredibly unique, but things like this just make me sort of yearn for the past. I don't necessarily think that they should bring back the Fountain of Nations or Future World necessarily as it was with the electric umbrella and the pin trading station in the middle, but the canopies were pretty cool. The Fountain of Nations was great. You have to strike that balance of moving forward, progress. Disneyland will never be completed. Epcot will never be completed. By design, it's meant to be a permanent World's Fair. And the conversation isn't as easy as saying new Epcot sucks and old Epcot was great, or saying that new Epcot is great and old Epcot sucks. It's a lot more specific than that. But if they're not going to maintain the park like they have in the past, and by that I mean like in the far past, both interventions were essentially empty, It's making me question why we even replaced it in the first place, why we even took out the Fountain of Nations to begin with. And once I start questioning that, I start questioning everything. Why is the castle still sunburnt? And I can't live like that. So, just to ease my conscience, ease my tired brain, Disney, dig deep in that Disney Parks fiscal budget for 2025 and find it within your hearts to improve, replace, or fix the lighting strips in World Celebration. Otherwise, I've been waiting the whole video to say this, new Epcot is absolutely screwed. Get it? Because they're in the ground they put the screw. Never mind. Hello there, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching this week's video talking about new Epcot. And listen, I have to be objective here. I like to look at things with a critical eye. What's happening with this planter in the middle of World Celebration Gardens is not okay, and I wanted to talk about that. Even though I do love Epcot, I love the surroundings of World Celebration, this just is not working for me. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like button, and if you're new around here and you want more videos like this discussing maybe some problems I have with the Disney parks, some maintenance issues specifically for this video, hit the subscribe button. As always, you can see the names of my lovely supporters at patreon.com/offhanddisney. They are the contributors who help keep this channel sort of moving along. It helps me get into the parks, research these videos, actually film these things and talk about them. For the most part, I couldn't get the picture of the screws because my next trip isn't until next month for Test Track. Very excited for Test Track 3, but they do help fund these sorts of videos. And if you want to join their ranks, you can. For just $1 a month at the lowest tier, you can get early access to videos and exclusive communication with me. If you have any comments on these videos that you see early that you might need to see changed or want to see changed, or you just want to say hi, that's patreon.com. It will be linked down in the description below. But if you'd rather, follow me for free on other social media sites, you can absolutely do that. There's no shame. I love talking to everybody. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Offhand Disney, so you can find me over there. A very special thank you, as always, to all of you for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next video and next month when I'll be there for the opening day of Test Track 3 with my good friend. You'll just have to wait and see. Everybody, goodbye.